When I talk to people about starting their own YouTube channel, the two main excuses I get for their procrastination are, one, they have a fear of talking in front of people, and two, they have nothing to talk about. But after delving a little bit deeper, it usually turns out that neither of those reasons are the real cause of their hesitation. Because first of all, when you're recording a YouTube video, you're not actually speaking in front of people. You're speaking to the lens of a camera, and usually in the privacy of your own home. In fact, you'll often find that those same people who swear that they would never be able to speak in a YouTube video seem to have no problem taking a short video of themselves and then posting it on Facebook or Instagram. It's the exact same thing. And as for not having anything to talk about, if you sit those same people down in a coffee shop and just bring up a topic that they're even remotely interested in, most of them will proceed to talk your ear off for the next 2 hours without even taking a breath. You see, I think the real reason that most people hesitate to create that first YouTube video is because they're not sure how to deliver that message that they're trying to get across in a professional manner, and they're worried about how people will perceive them. They're afraid of making mistakes and coming across as someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, even though they're very knowledgeable about the subject matter. And that's why scripting your YouTube videos is so important, especially in the beginning. Because if you know exactly what you're going to say word for word before you even hit that record button, then your confidence level is going to increase tenfold. And that confidence is going to have a huge impact on how your audience perceives you. Which is why in this video, I'm going to show you how to script every single minute of your video right down to the very last word, so that when you hit that record button, you'll know without a doubt that the video that you're creating is worth watching. Hey guys, Craig here. Hope everybody's doing well. Alright, so any good video script can usually be broken down into 4 main sections: the lead in, the introduction, the story, and the lead out. So what I'm going to do in this video is lay out in detail what type of information needs to go in each one of those sections. And be sure and stick around, because later in the video I'm going to be sharing a tip with you that's going to make the recording of your video a hell of a lot easier. So if you're ready, let's get to it. Okay, so the first section of your video script is called the lead in. A lot of content creators on YouTube also refer to this section as the hook. And the reason they call it that is because in this day and age of TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And if you want to grab their attention, then you're going to need to do that within the first 30 seconds of your video. Now that's not to say that your lead-in can only be 30 seconds long. It can be longer than that. It just means that if you want the viewer to continue watching the rest of your video, then you need to hook them within the first 30 seconds of your lead-in. And to understand how to hook your viewer, you first need to understand the anatomy of a lead-in. Most video lead-ins contain the same 2 elements, regardless of the subject matter. And those 2 elements are the problem and the solution. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that when it comes to writing a YouTube script, I'm going to be using a very broad definition of the words problem and solution. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a bit. To make this as clear as possible, I'm going to use a script from one of my previous videos to help me demonstrate what I'm talking about. So this video is titled 10 Tips on Creating Better Book Covers for KDP. Now, at first glance, this title is the only thing that the viewer has to go on to help them figure out what this video is actually about. So if there's someone who's interested in creating better book covers, then there's a good chance that they'll click on this video. Now, just because they clicked on your video doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to watch the entire thing. That viewer may be thinking, hey, my book covers are just fine, but if this guy can give me a few pointers on how to improve them, then I'll just skip through this video really quickly to see what he has to say. And this is exactly what you don't want your viewer to be doing. And here's where the problem comes in. If you want your viewer to watch your entire video, then you're going to need to convince them that they have a problem that they need you to solve for them. And it's in this 30-second spot right here that you need to hook them. So let's take a look at how to do that. So the first 30 seconds of this script reads as follows. Okay, so you've decided that you want to give KDP self-publishing a try. You did your research and you found a few good niches that have little competition, but at the same time still have a couple of big sellers in them. And after looking at your competitors' products, you're confident that you have something better to offer the Amazon customers. But even though your books are placing fairly high in the Amazon search results, you're still not selling anywhere near the amount of books that you think you should be. If this is something that you're going through right now, then it's time to step back and take a good hard look at your book covers. It doesn't matter how good your interior content is. If your book cover isn't grabbing the attention of Amazon customers in search, then no one's going to be clicking on your listing. And without that first initial click, no one's even going to be seeing your book's product page, let alone your amazing interior content. Boom, there's your problem. You're not selling enough books because customers aren't clicking on your listing in the Amazon marketplace. Now, if a viewer can relate to that problem, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to stick around to hear what the solution is. But if they can't relate to it, then they're probably going to click off of your video. But that's okay, because I didn't create this video for people who are selling 10,000 copies of their book every month. I created this video for people who are only selling 1 or 2 copies. So now that I've laid out the problem, my next step is to summarize what needs to be done to solve that problem. And then I need to reassure the viewer that in this video, I'm going to show them how to fix it. So the next part of my lead-in reads as follows. So what you need to do is create a book cover that's not only going to make an impression on Amazon customers right out of the gate, but that's also going to make your book stand out from all of the other books in that niche. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do just that. There's your solution. The lead-in for your video is now complete. And it really doesn't matter what your video is about. This lead-in format applies to pretty much any type of content. If you have a food channel, one problem that your viewers may be facing is being able to prepare good food on a very small budget. The solution that your video may provide might include how to buy items in bulk, or how to find quality no-name brands, as well as how to prepare your food using cheap spices so that your meals are tasty and not bland. If you have a guitar channel, a problem your viewers may face is wanting to learn how to play guitar like John Lennon or George Harrison. The solution that your video would provide would include walking them through an entire song, showing them the chord progressions, as well as the strumming and picking patterns for a particular Beatles song. So this lead-in format can be used when scripting any type of educational video. If your channel centers around teaching a particular subject, whether it be photography, sculpting, investing, or even how to build model airplanes, then this lead-in format is sure to work for you every single time. But it can also be applied to entertainment videos as well. Take Mr. Beast for instance. In this video, the problem is Mr. Beast has $500,000 that he wants to give away, and he can't decide which of these 100 people he wants to give it to. The solution is to put all of these people into a circle and then just give the money to the person who remains in the circle the longest. So as you can see, it's still basically that problem-solution format that I've been talking about. So in summary, the goal of your lead-in section of your video script is just to hook your viewer by presenting to them a problem that they can relate to. Then just briefly explain to them how you intend to solve that problem in your video. Now before I move on to the next section of your script, which is the introduction, just know that if you have a logo sting or an animated logo reveal, this would be the spot to put it. Placing your logo sting at the beginning of your video is a surefire way to get people to click off of your video immediately. Now there's a lot of debate as to whether you should even have a logo sting in your video at all, but that's a discussion for a future video. For now, just know that if you have one, this is where it goes. Okay, on to the introduction section. Now your introduction section is exactly what it sounds like. It's the point in your video where you introduce yourself to your viewers. As for how long your introduction section should be, well, that depends. If you've been watching YouTube videos for any length of time, you've probably realized that there are 2 types of introductions. The first is the brief intro, kind of like the one I did earlier in this video. It's usually just something like, "Hey guys, Craig here. Hope everybody's doing well." And that's it, short and sweet. The second type of introduction is the longer one, which tells the viewer a little bit more about you as well as what your channel is about. This is the type of introduction that I used to do in the early days of my channel, and it went something like this. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name's Craig Babin, and I'm on a mission to turn my part-time drawing hobby into a full-time income. And I'm hoping to inspire as many of you as possible to do the exact same thing. So if you have a part-time hobby that you want to monetize, then hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to be posting some really useful stuff on this channel that you are not going to want to miss. I've said that introduction so many times that it's now a permanent fixture in my brain. Now, as for whether or not you should be using a long or short intro in your own videos, well, that depends on how new your channel is. The way viewers decide on whether or not they're going to subscribe to your channel is usually by going back to your homepage and checking out the rest of your content. Even just by looking at the titles of all your other videos, they can get a pretty clear idea of what your channel is about. The problem is that in those early days, you don't really have a lot of content on your homepage, which makes it difficult for the viewer to determine what your channel is about. So putting that longer introduction into your video will help them to see your vision for your channel. Ask any YouTube creator and they'll tell you, the first 100 subscribers are usually the hardest to get. And that's simply because your viewers don't have enough information to be able to make that decision of whether or not to subscribe. So you're going to need all the help you can get to convince them. And telling them what your channel is about can really go a long way to getting those first few subscribers. Now, once you're at about 20 or 30 videos in, it becomes a judgment call as to whether or not you should leave the longer intro in. Yeah, it's great for the new viewers who are only seeing one of your videos for the very first time. But for your subscribers who have been watching all of your videos for the past year, hearing that same intro over and over in every video is kind of annoying. So you may want to replace it with a shorter version. And besides, by that time, new viewers should have no problem figuring out what your channel is all about just by looking at the 30 videos you've uploaded to your YouTube homepage. I personally pulled my long intro out after about the 30th video, and my subscription and viewer retention rates have continued to climb ever since. So replacing the long intro with the shorter one actually made my videos perform even better. But ultimately, it's your call. Now, regardless of which intro you use, there's still one more thing that you need to add to your introduction section, and that's a quick summary of what your viewer is about to see in your video. Now, you might be thinking, didn't I just tell the viewer what I was going to be teaching them in the lead-in? And the answer is yes, but this time you're going to expand on what you're about to teach them, as well as try to tie in the title of your video as well. So going back to what I said at the end of the lead-in, I told the viewer that what they needed to do was create a book cover that's not only going to make an impression on Amazon customers right out of the gate, but that it's also going to make their book stand out from all of the other books in that niche. But in my introduction, I'm going to tie in my video title, and I'm also going to rephrase what I just said slightly differently. So it might sound something like this. Alright, so today I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to improve your KDP low content book covers. Tips that will help make your book covers look more professional as well as more appealing to Amazon customers. Because I don't actually mention the video's title in the lead-in, I just want to reassure the viewer before I get started teaching that this is the content that they were looking for when they clicked on that video thumbnail. Once you've reassured them of that, now you can jump right into the story section. And I usually make that transition by saying something like, so if you're ready, let's get to it. But you can say whatever you want. Okay, onto the story section. Now, depending on what the content of your video is about, the story section of every video is going to vary dramatically, so I really can't tell you what to write here. But the one thing that all story sections have in common is that they still operate on that same problem-solution format that I spoke about in the lead-in. Remember, the whole point of your video is to teach your viewers something about a particular topic, so that problem-solution format is going to carry on right into your story section. If you look at my example script, you can see that everything is still written in that same problem-solution format. Take these examples, for instance. Now, this may seem like an obvious tip, but you'd be surprised at how many people contact me saying that KDP rejected their book cover and that they don't know why. And 80% of the time, it's due to an error in graphical placement as a result of not using a template. The problem in this situation is your book being rejected by KDP, and the solution is to use a book cover template. How about this one? If you're finding that your book covers are looking a little flat or boring, try adding an image to the background of your cover. In this case, it's flat and boring looking book covers that are the problem. The solution is to insert graphics into your book's background to add depth. So regardless of whether you're breaking your video down into individual tips or you're just focusing on one main problem, you're still going to structure your storyline using that problem and solution format. All you're doing is expanding on the problem that you mentioned in the lead-in, and then in a lot more detail, you're walking them step by step through the solution. And trust me, the more detailed the solution is, the better the video will be received by your viewers. And again, this format can be used for any type of educational video, regardless of the subject matter. Now, the reason I call this the story section is because you need to present this problem and solution to your viewer as part of your own personal story. Look, if your viewer just wanted an impersonal explanation on how to do something, they would have just downloaded an instructional PDF off of the internet. But they're not doing that. They're clicking on your video because they want your personal feedback on the best way to solve this problem. Reviews and personal experience are king in this day and age. Most shoppers will not buy a product on Amazon unless it has a review, no matter how good the product is. Most viewers won't even watch a YouTube video unless it has more than 1,000 views. We just naturally assume that if nobody is watching it, it must not be very good. And the ridiculous part is, the fact that it doesn't have very many views usually has nothing to do with the quality of the video's content. Having no views is far more of an indicator of a bad thumbnail or poor title. But as a society, we are so obsessed with other people's opinions that we need that reassurance that someone else likes it before we can commit to it. Why do you think reaction videos are such a huge niche right now on YouTube? It's because we care about what other people think. So when you're writing that story section of your video script, you have to find a way to put a little bit of your own opinion into it. Because your viewers are not going to subscribe to your channel or keep coming back week after week just to hear solutions to their problems. The reason that they'll continue to come back time after time is to hear your solution to their problems. The more good content you upload to your channel, the more your viewers will begin to trust and value your opinion. Now, for those of you freaking out right now because you weren't planning on showing your face on your channel, relax. You can still share your story without showing your face. Whether the viewer is looking at your face or stock footage, good information is still good information. You just need to find a way to make it personal. The one thing you don't want to do on your channel is try teaching something that you know nothing about or have no experience with. We've all had that teacher in high school or college who lectures right out of the textbook, word for word. There's nothing worse than realizing that you just spent $500 on a class just to have someone read the textbook to you, a textbook that you were perfectly capable of reading yourself. It's not just the instruction that your viewers are looking for, it's also your opinion as well as your personal experiences with that particular topic, whatever it may be. So when you're writing out your video story, try to include your own personal experiences wherever you can. If we go back to my example script, you can see that I talk about my own experiences on multiple occasions, and here are just a few examples. From my experience, whenever I've printed out using RGB, the finished printed product always came out about 4 shades darker and far less vibrant than the digital version. Or, I use a Pantone color chart so that I know what my colors are going to look like when printed. Then there's this one. I have yet to be disappointed with the print quality of any of my book covers using this method. In fact, I use the same technique when I print my t-shirts, and they always come out rich and vibrant. And there are quite a few more instances of my personal experiences throughout the remainder of this script. The point I'm trying to make here is it's not about giving your viewer a solution to their problem. It's about giving them your solution to their problem. That personalization is what's going to develop your viewers' trust and keep them coming back to your channel in the future. And just on a side note, if your channel isn't an educational channel and it's more of an entertainment or vlog style channel, that personalization is going to be even more important than ever. After analyzing hundreds of tutorial videos, I can honestly say that what makes a good tutorial video relies 70% on the quality of the instruction and 30% on the personality of the teacher. But when it comes to entertainment or vlog style videos, those percentages are reversed. If you have a travel vlog channel, 30% of the reason viewers are coming back every week is to see the imagery of the exotic landscapes you're visiting. The other 70% is to spend an hour with you while you're on your journey. The viewer is attempting to live vicariously through you, and they want to feel like they're on the trip with you. So your personality really needs to shine in those type of videos. So no matter what type of content you're creating for your channel, you need to find a way to inject a little bit of your personality into the story section of your video script. Now, before I move on to the final section, I just want to give you a little tip that's going to make the recording of your videos a hell of a lot easier. Did you notice how in this script, all of these paragraphs are separated into different colors? The white text is the A roll and the gray text is the B roll. Now, if you're not sure what A roll and B roll are, A roll is just video and audio footage of me talking to the camera. B roll is simply the audio portion of the A roll with the video portion being replaced by some other type of alternate footage. B roll footage is used to help make the point that you're trying to get across to the viewer a little bit clearer. Here's an example. In this footage, the A-roll narration is talking about not receiving a royalty from a sale when your book sells in the aftermarket. And as you can see, the video footage is just me talking to the camera. Now you may be thinking, wait a second, what do I care if that book sells or not? I'm not going to get a royalty off that sale. I already got my royalty when the seller bought it from Amazon. The B-roll audio is discussing what a third-party seller will do once the copy of your book that he purchased from Amazon sells to one of his customers. And you'd be right. But what do you think the seller is going to do after that book sells? He's probably going to buy another copy to replace the one he just sold. And he will continue to do that as long as the book keeps selling. Putting B-roll video footage of a customer removing a book from a shelf over the audio will help to drive home the point that the seller will no longer have that book in stock or on the shelf, and that there will be a need to order another copy of your book from Amazon to replace it. Separating your text into color codes will allow you to distinguish while you're recording your video which shots you need to speak directly to the camera in and which shots you can just speak into the microphone. When you're recording A-roll, you need to memorize the section of the script that you're recording so that you can constantly be staring at the lens of the camera. But when recording the audio for the B-roll, you can just look away from the camera and read it directly off of the script. That alone will speed up your recording time immensely. This will also help you when it comes time to edit your videos. All of your camera footage will be brought into your editor at the same time. And as you start to cut the footage up, every spot where you see yourself looking down at the video script, you'll know that that's a spot where you need to put in some B-roll footage. So that will also speed up your editing time. Okay, on to the final section of your script. Now, the reason I'm calling this last section the lead out as opposed to the summary or the conclusion is because the last thing you want to do at the end of your video is end it. This is something that took me a long time to learn, and I still screw it up to this very day. The whole purpose of the lead out is not to conclude the video, it's to lead your viewer into another one of your videos. The YouTube algorithm loves videos that keep viewers on the platform. And if your video has a tendency to do that, then the algorithm is far more likely to recommend it to other viewers. The only way your YouTube channel is going to grow is if you can get your viewers to watch more of your videos. And the best way to do that is to recommend to them the next video they should watch. And even better than recommending a video is to recommend a playlist that has many of your videos in it, all of which are on the same topic as the video that the viewer is currently watching. So the one thing you want to refrain from doing in your lead out is say anything that in any way suggests that this is the end of the video. So I'm going to go through the lead out of my example video and show you not only all of the mistakes that I made, but also how it should have read. So here's the final sentence of my story, followed by my lead out. If you're serious about creating a passive income for yourself that will one day replace your full-time income, then you need to start thinking a lot bigger, and you need to take advantage of every promotional opportunity you get. Okay, so hopefully this video has given you a much better idea of how to improve the quality and overall appearance of your KDP book covers. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in addition to great book covers, if you want to sell low-content books, then you're going to need to make sure that you're creating books for the right niches, and that requires a lot of research on your part. And if you're not sure how to do that research, then be sure and check out my video, How to Make $1,000 a Month Creating Low-Content Books Using BookBoat. I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. If you found this video helpful and you want to see more just like it, then be sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know. And if you're new to my channel or self-publishing altogether, then be sure and check out my playlist, Self-Publishing 101. That playlist has everything you need to get your low-content book business up and running. And you can find a link to it right here. Until next time, take care. So there are two mistakes in this lead out, and they happen here and here. Each one of these statements tells the viewer that the video is over, which gives them the opportunity to click off of the video and to end their viewing time on my channel. Now, this is how my lead out should have read. If you're serious about creating a passive income for yourself that will one day replace your full-time income, then you need to start thinking a lot bigger, and you need to take advantage of every promotional opportunity you get. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in addition to great book covers, if you want to sell low-content books, then you're going to need to make sure that you're creating books for the right niches, and that requires a lot of research on your part. And if you're not sure how to do that research, then be sure and check out my video, How to Make $1,000 a Month Creating Low-Content Books Using BookBoat. I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. And if you're new to my channel or self-publishing altogether, then be sure and check out my playlist, Self-Publishing 101. That playlist has everything you need to get your low-content book business up and running. And you can find a link to it right here. Until next time, take care. Can you see the difference? In this first example, the viewer already knows that the video is coming to an end as soon as I say, okay, so hopefully this video. Those 5 words tell the viewer that I'm summarizing the video and that it's over, so it's okay to click off of it. And the reason that's so bad is because my end screen that has the links to my next video and playlist hasn't even popped up yet. So I'm almost guaranteed to lose that viewer. Whereas in the second example, the first 2 paragraphs of the lead out are just another tip, and the viewer's been getting tips throughout the entire video, so it doesn't seem out of the ordinary to them. It's not until I go into the second recommendation that they begin to realize that the video's end is near. But by that time, my end screen is already showing, so there's another video as well as a playlist for them to click on and continue watching. It's extremely important that you never put any type of vocabulary in your lead out section that would make your viewer think that the video they're watching is coming to an end. The whole point of your lead out is to leave your viewers wanting more and then to show them where to find it. Now, if you want more information about how to get your own YouTube channel up and running, then be sure and check out my playlist, Getting Started on YouTube. You can find a link to it right here. Until next time, take care.